Following their abduction, the party, consisting of Ludovi, Arlen, Tiernan, Thora, and Iris, are taken into a large tent by the man who abducted them, Merle Hauteglis. Surrounded by a group of hired mercenaries, the party find themselves at an impasse. Hauteglis threatens to injure the party if Afleda does not, quote, try again. He explains that he's been trying to force Afleda to channel some unknown power from the Sapphire Sun through an Alluvian that he had stolen from Ludovi in a deal gone wrong. Afleda gives them a single warning. You don't want to see this. The party watches in horror as trying again consists of attempting to channel a magic that Afleda has no way of reaching, hurting herself in the process. And at the last second, channeling her magic into a powerful bright light in an unexpected surge of magical energy. The tent lifts off of the ground. A warm wind pulses from the Alluvian, and as it shines bright with a furious power that hadn't been seen before, everyone who looked on as Afleda performed became temporarily blinded. Iris, Tiernan, Thora, and Ludovi shield their eyes in time. Arlen did not. Thora and Iris disarm Hauteglis' mercenaries while they are distracted. The mercenaries grab their heads in pain and are unable to move, giving the party a way to finally fight back. Tiernan and Afleda move Arlen to a position that is easier to defend and prepare for a fight. Arlen kicks himself for being such an idiot, talking to himself as he clutches his head, trying to recover. Arlen, mate, you've really fucked it this time, he curses. His vision does not return. Not being able to see anything, he chose to take a defensive stance instead of fighting blind. Ludovi puts his knife to the throat of the now blinded Hauteglis and takes control of the situation. He instructs Hauteglis not to move. And, well, Hauteglis immediately begins to panic. At first promising threats, but then pleading for mercy. Afleda heals her party, but at great expense to herself. Her headache gets worse, but she pushes through it to help her friends. 24 mercenaries rush in from outside when they realize that the situation has changed. One attempts to disarm Thora, but Thora was ready for it and retaliates, halting the mercenaries' advance. Iris readies an arrow, waiting to attack in case Ludovi fails in his negotiations. Tiernan picks up a sword, intending to stand between the mercenaries, and Arlen and Afleda behind him. Ludovi is angered and becomes more aggressive when Hauteglis does not immediately call off his mercenaries. Instead, Hauteglis tries to threaten the Inquisition itself, but Ludovi quickly backs up his threats of violence with actual violence. As soon as there's pain involved, Hauteglis whimpers and instructs his mercenaries to give their group whatever they ask for. The Templars demand a cart and horses to carry the Alluvian back to the Inquisition. Thora demands their items and weapons to be returned to them, choosing a particularly nasty mercenary that had attacked them during their escape attempt. With the high probability of being followed, the party arranges themselves strategically. Thora asks if it might be best to put the Alluvian between themselves and the mercenaries, thinking the criminals might not attack if it means damaging the item their employer wants. But Tiernan retaliates with an absolutely not, pointing out how rare and important this artifact would be for the Inquisition. They place the Alluvian safely in the cart and stand in front of it. Iris drives the 2 horses while Arlen and Effie walk alongside it. One particular horse, Claude, is exceptionally beautiful. Iris bonds with the horse and somehow knows its name as she guides them all back to town. Not long after making their escape, one of the wheels breaks. They prepare for a possible ambush while trying to fix the damage. Through the trees, Thora spots several mercenaries quickly gaining on them on horseback. She and Iris take the initiative, pointing them out to the rest of the party, who are able to prepare and attack their enemies before they get too close. Thora knocks one of the mercenaries completely off of their horse, while Iris takes down another one. Afleda tries to heal her companions, but she is unsuccessful. Her magic is still under too much strain. Claude is injured by one of the archers and falls to the ground, his leg injured. Arlen's head is still pounding, but he becomes enraged at the mercenaries. Using his anger, he attacks an archer on horseback with his sword, the momentum of his attack knocking the archer off and killing him instantly as the horse escapes to safety. The mercenaries are defeated quickly, and Afleda knows that she has to help Claude, or he'll have to be put down. Even though her magic is just beyond her grasp, she digs deep and is able to heal Claude's injured leg, much to the relief of everyone else. Ludovi is largely ignored by the party. His betrayal had almost gotten several of them killed and had nearly destroyed Afleda in the process. However, the party was not willing to write him off completely, as he was now an asset. He leaves wordlessly and the party lets him go. Once the party makes it back to their makeshift headquarters, they attempt to process just how close a call this had all been. Arlen pulls Ephleda aside. He asks how she's handling everything, her kidnapping, the magic, the torture. Arlen feels massive concern for Ephleda given what she went through. She tells him how hard it was, and he smiles and tells her that he's proud of her for getting through it and still being herself. She was still their Effie, and her actions were commendable. Ephleda tells him that she's glad that she had the two Templars there to protect her. Arlen replies that he hopes that he will always be there for her, hopefully not only as a Templar, but as a friend now as well. Ephleda nods and smiles, and she's comforted. As the Templars are sitting by the fire, Thora approaches Tiernan and asks why he didn't just let the mercenaries kill her when it could have saved Ephleda. Why did they send you? You're not at all like other Templars, she asks. Tiernan pauses, and he tries to admit that they sent him because he didn't think that he would be missed. Thora clarifies and confesses, I'm very glad they sent you, instead of anyone else. She asks about the chant, and Tiernan surprises her, sharing memorized excerpts and explanations. He puts the quotes into context, and he explains why his actions reflect each and every word. Before she walks away, Tiernan tells her that she is a good person, and for once she might have started to believe it. After Thora leaves, Arlen places a hand on Tiernan's arm in support. Whether or not Tiernan noticed the intentions behind the gesture is still up for debate. Thora goes off to chat with Iris about their capture and also to check on Claude, only to find that Iris had already woven a crown of flowers and placed them on his head. Adrienne sits at her desk and writes to her superiors to report everything that had happened, and the party settles in to recover from their exhausting ordeal. The Templars carry the Eluvian into the basement of their headquarters and cover it with a heavy piece of cloth. They leave and lock the door, and there in the dark, the Eluvian pulses once more before finally falling still.